Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Lalima Aneja Dang with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves for United Arab Emirates after successful visit to Germany. India's approach has transitioned from women's development to women-led development, emphasizes Prime Minister, addresses G7 session on food security and gender equality in Germany. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chairs 47th meeting of the GST Council in Chandigarh. Chief Justices of Delhi High Court and Telangana High Court sworn in today. Proposed budget of Punjab faces opposition from industries and trade forums. Second round of Foreign Office consultations between India and Cuba held in Havana. In USA, 46 people found dead in an abandoned vehicle on the outskirts of San Antonio of Texas State. Sri Lankan government suspends sales of fuel for non-essential vehicles. Only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. And in cricket, second and final T20 international match between India and Ireland to be played in Dublin this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has left for the United Arab Emirates. In a tweet message, the Prime Minister said he is leaving Germany after a productive visit in which he attended the G7 summit, interacted with several world leaders and participated in a memorable community program in Munich. The leaders were able to discuss many issues aimed at furthering global well-being and prosperity, he further added. During his visit to the UAE, the Prime Minister will pay his personal condolences on the passing away of Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the former UAE President and Abu Dhabi ruler. He will also congratulate Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on his election as the new President of the UAE. India and the UAE's diplomatic relations date back to 1972. The two countries traditionally enjoy strong bilateral relationship which will be boosted by the visit of the Prime Minister. The UAE has emerged as an important economic hub not just within the context of West Asia but also globally. The India-UAE total trade merchandise has been valued at $52.76 billion for the first 9 months of the fiscal year 2021-22, making the UAE India's third largest trading partner. Many Indian companies have invested in tourism, hospitality, catering, health, retail and education sectors in West Asia. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the sidelines of the G7 summit at Schloss Elmau in Germany. Mr. Modi thanked Chancellor Scholz for the invitation to the G7 summit. The two leaders emphasized the need to take forward their green and sustainable development partnership. Discussions covered issues like climate action, provision of climate financing and technology transfer. Both leaders also agreed on the need to further deepen trade, investment and people-to-people ties. They also discussed greater coordination in international bodies, particularly in the context of India's forthcoming G20 presidency. The two leaders also exchanged views on regional and global developments. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has thanked the people of Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and the German government for their hospitality during the visit. In a tweet, Mr. Modi expressed confidence that India-Germany friendship will scale newer heights in the times to come. Prime Minister Modi also held bilateral talks with his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau. The leaders discussed bilateral ties and agreed to expand trade and economic linkages, cooperation in security and counter-terrorism, as well as P2P ties. Mr. Modi and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen also held talks. Issues such as stronger trade ties, cooperation to mitigate climate change, emerging technologies and cultural linkages were discussed during the meeting. Prime Minister Modi also met South African President Cyril Ramaphosa. Both leaders reviewed the progress made in bilateral relations between the two countries, particularly following the signing of the Strategic Program of Cooperation in 2019. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized that India's approach had transitioned from women's development to women-led development. He said this while addressing the G7 session on food security and gender equality. He shared India's experiences in these domains. Mr. Modi shared focus areas for ensuring food security, which include fertilizers availability, structured system for use of Indian agricultural talent, nutritious alternatives like millets, and natural farming.
Justice Satish Chandra Sharma was today sworn in as the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. Delhi Lieutenant Governor Vinay Kumar Saxena administered the oath to Justice Sharma in Raj Niwas.
I, Justice Satish Chandra Sharma, having been appointed Chief Justice of High Court of Delhi, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will duly and faithfully and to the best of my ability, knowledge and judgment perform the duties of my office without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and that I will uphold the Constitution and the laws.
Justice Ujjal Bhuiya has been sworn in as the Chief Justice of Telangana High Court in Hyderabad a short while ago. At a ceremony held at Raj Bhavan in Hyderabad, Telangana State Governor Dr. Tamili Sai Soundarajan has administered oath to him. All Industries and Trade Forum of Punjab have strongly opposed the proposed budget for 2022-23 of the Aam Aadmi Party government in the state. The forum said the budget is the worst budget of the state for growth of industries. The government tried to divide the trade and industry leaders by announcing Traders Commission and tried to threaten the traders and industries by announcing the formation of Tax Intelligence Unit, it said. The president of the forum, Badish Jindal, said the party, which came with the slogan of freedom from inspector rule, is announcing the formation of Tax Intelligence Unit in their first budget. This will enhance corruption in the state and will create a panic among trade and industries. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari has said that the government will make it mandatory for car makers to provide a minimum of 6 airbags in motor vehicles that can carry up to 8 passengers. Addressing India's Safety Pioneers Conference 2022, Mr. Gadkari said every year around 1.5 lakh people are killed in 5 lakh accidents across the country.
We need to work on road engineering and vehicle engineering, enforcement, education, and somewhere we need cooperation from the automobile manufacturers. We have decided to 6 airbags. Some of the company people constantly making opposition for that. We want to save the life of the people, and that is exactly the reason that we need the cooperation from the stakeholders. The technology is very important, which should be economically viable. The PPP model for intelligent transport system and technology we need to find out.
The 47th meeting of the GST Council is underway in Chandigarh. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is chairing the periodic meeting that discusses rate changes and updates new changes in the GST law. The 2-day meeting of the GST Council is also being attended by Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary, Revenue Secretary Tarun Bajaj, Chairman CBIC Vivek Johari, Finance Ministers of States and Union Territories, and senior officers from the Union Government and States. The last GST Council meeting, which was held in New Delhi, had recommended to defer the decision to change the rates on textiles. The GST Council had decided to retain the status quo on GST rate on textile at 5%. Here is a report from our news desk.
The GST Council holds a meeting every few months to modify, reconcile or procure any law or regulation related to GST. They make key decisions regarding GST rate changes, filing due dates, tax laws, and deadlines among significant tax and related rules for all the states of the country. The GST Council is headed by the chairperson, who is the Union Finance Minister, and is assisted by Finance Ministers of all states of India. The Vice Chairperson of the Council is chosen by the State Finance Ministers, who is generally one amongst themselves. The last meeting of the Council was held in New Delhi, which had recommended to defer the decision to change the rates on textiles. The GST Council had decided to retain the status quo on GST rate on textile to 5%. Ravi Kumar, AR News, Delhi.
Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari has asked the State Chief Secretary to provide complete information of all government resolutions and circulars issued by the state government from June 22 to 24. The direction by the governor to the Maharashtra government comes after leader of the opposition in Legislative Council, PV Narasimha Rao, raised the issue a couple of days ago and had sought Mr. Koshyari's intervention. Meanwhile, hectic parleys of ruling parties is on in Mumbai as well as in Guwahati by the rebel group led by Eknath Shinde. A report.
Political developments in Mumbai is picking up pace. Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray will be chairing a key cabinet meeting today where deliberations on the current political situation will be discussed elaborately. However, both the CM and Deputy CM will not be physically present in the cabinet meeting. The Chief Minister will chair the meeting virtually, whereas Ajit Pawar, who has tested COVID positive, will join through video conference. The state BJP has directed all the MLAs to come to Mumbai tomorrow. According to our Guwahati correspondent, the rebel MLAs have extended their stay at Radisson Blu till 5th of July and they are expected to hold slew of meetings today to chart out the next move. Meanwhile, attacking the state government, BJP leader Pravin Darekar said the political situation in Maharashtra is unstable right now. He said the MVA government is in minority. However, taking pot shots, he said they are issuing 200 to 300 GRs every day. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
The rebel Shiv Sena MLAs in Guwahati are holding a meeting under Eknath Shinde now. It is learned that the meeting would explore ways on the future course of action. Sources said Mr. Shinde may go to Mumbai soon, but his camp has not made any statement yet. Eknath Shinde also said he will soon return to Mumbai. Talking to reporters at the hotel in Guwahati, Shinde said he and other MLAs will return to Mumbai at the earliest. He said the information on the stand of the faction will be given by Deepak Kesarkar, who is their spokesperson.
The Enforcement Directorate ED has summoned Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut today for questioning in two separate money laundering cases. The notice from the ED required him to depose at its South Mumbai office in connection with the acquisition of properties by his wife and associates. In Mumbai, the toll in the building collapse at Kurla's Naik Nagar has gone up to 3. The BMC said 9 injured who were treated at the Rajawadi hospital have been discharged. The Mumbai Fire Brigade officials said 15 people were rescued and 5 are still trapped inside the debris. Maharashtra Cabinet Minister Subhash Desai said 5 lakh rupees will be given to the family of the deceased and the injured will be given free treatment. The incident will be investigated and action will be taken against those responsible. He said a meeting has been called to ensure that such an incident does not happen again.
In Rajasthan, 5 people were killed in a road accident at Ahor Takhatgarh Road on National Highway number 325 in Jalore district. Police said all 5 occupants of a car were killed when their vehicle rammed into a parked trailer late last night. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed sadness at the loss of lives in the road accident in Jalore. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Chief Minister of Rajasthan Ashok Gehlot have also expressed condolences on the death of 5 people in the road accident in Rajasthan.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. Here's a reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves for United Arab Emirates after successful visit to Germany. India's approach has transitioned from women's development to women-led development, emphasizes Prime Minister, addresses G7 session on food security and gender equality in Germany. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chairs 47th meeting of the GST Council in Chandigarh. Chief Justices of Delhi High Court and Telangana High Court sworn in today. Proposed budget of Punjab faces opposition from industries and trade forums. Second round of Foreign Office consultations between India and Cuba held in Havana. In USA, 46 people found dead in an abandoned vehicle on the outskirts of San Antonio of Texas State. Sri Lankan government suspends sale of fuel for non-essential vehicles. Only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. And in cricket, second and final T20 international match between India and Ireland to be played in Dublin this evening. Well, for quick news updates from the club, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
क्या आप कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम्स की तैयारी कर रहे हैं? आपके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो लाया है प्रोग्राम अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जहां हमें आप प्रश्न भेजते हैं व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करते हैं abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे एक्सपर्ट देते हैं आपके प्रश्नों के उत्तर हर शनिवार रात 9:30 बजे। इस बार का विषय है आधुनिक इतिहास यानी कि मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री। और आपके सवाल प्राप्त करने की अंतिम तारीख 29 जून। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
Welcome back to the Midday News. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav today reiterated India's commitment to ban identified single-use plastic items from the 1st of next month and denied to extend the deadline. Some manufacturers of small packaged fruit juices and dairy products had demanded that the deadline for implementing the ban on plastic straws should be extended. Talking to media in New Delhi, Mr. Yadav said the government has given enough time of 11 months to switch away from single-use plastic. From the 1st of next month, the ban will be enforced on manufacture, import, stocking, distribution, sale and use of single-use plastic. He said the items to be banned include earbuds with plastic sticks for balloons, plastic flags, candy sticks, ice cream sticks, polystyrene for decoration, plates, cups and glasses. The cutlery items including forks, spoons, knives, straw, trays, wrapping or packing films around sweet boxes, invitation cards and cigarette packets. Plastic banners less than 100 micron and stirrers will also be banned. Mr. Yadav said there are alternatives available to the single-use plastic items. The minister informed that single-use plastic items having low utility and high environment impact to be banned were identified based upon recommendations of the expert committee. He said the special task force at state level and national task force have been constituted to make the initiative successful. Mr. Yadav added that a pan-India awareness campaign on single-use plastic ban will be carried out during the month of July to sensitize people.
Over 197 crore 31 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said over 19 lakh 21,000 doses were administered yesterday. The recovery rate is currently at 98.57%. 9,486 people recovered in the last 24 hours. The total number of recoveries have reached 4 crore 27 lakh 97,092. 11,793 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours. India's active caseload currently stands at 96,700. Active cases stand at 0.22%. The Health Ministry today said that more than 193 crore 53 lakh vaccine doses have been provided to states and union territories so far through the centre's free-of-cost channel and through direct state procurement category. It said more than 11 crore 81 lakh balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and union territories to be administered. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember freedom fighter and former Prime Minister of India, Pamulaparthi Venkata Narasimha Rao, who was born on the 28th of June 1921 at Karimnagar, Hyderabad. He is often referred to as the father of Indian economic reforms.
PV Narasimha Rao, popularly known as PV, studied in Osmania University, Hyderabad, Bombay University and the Nagpur University. He was part of the Vande Mataram movement in the late 1930s in the Hyderabad state. Along with his distant cousins, Pamulaparthi Sadasiva Rao, Raja Narendra and Devulapalli Damodar Rao, PV Narasimha Rao edited a Telugu weekly magazine called Kakatiya Patrika in the 1940s. Both PV Narasimha Rao and Sadasiva Rao contributed articles under the pen name Jaya Vijaya.
After independence, Rao joined politics and held many important portfolios. PV Narasimha Rao became the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh in 1971 and implemented land reforms and land sealing acts strictly.
He also secured reservation for the so-called lower castes in politics during his tenure. He was elected to the Lok Sabha in 1977 and handled several diverse portfolios, most significantly home, defence and foreign affairs.
PV Narasimha Rao became Prime Minister of India in 1991 and successfully led the liberalization of the Indian economy. The reforms opened up the Indian economy to foreign investment, reformed capital markets, deregulated domestic business and reformed the trade regime.
The impact of these reforms may be gauged from the fact that total foreign investment in India grew from $132 million in 1991-92 to $5.3 billion in 1995-96. The measures continue to impact the influx of foreign portfolio investment in India and have helped India become a strong global economy.
PV Narasimha Rao had special interest in Indian philosophy and culture, writing fiction and political commentary, learning languages, writing poems in Telugu and Hindi. He spoke 17 languages.
Rao suffered a heart attack on the 9th of December 2004 and died 14 days later at the age of 83. AIR News salutes the father of Indian economic reforms, PV Narasimha Rao.
We also remember freedom fighter Shiv Prasad Gupta, who was born on the 28th of June 1883. A close associate of Mahatma Gandhi, Shiv Prasad devoted his entire life to actively participate, assist and give financial aid to the various movements of the freedom struggle. Nationalist leaders including Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Mahamana Madan Mohan Malviya often stayed with Shiv Prasad on their visit to Varanasi and relied upon his advice and support.
The Hindi daily Aaj was started by Gupta in 1920 in order to facilitate the Indian struggle for freedom. Gupta was associated with the Indian National Congress as its treasurer for many years. He founded the Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapeeth in Varanasi to give a chance to those youths who had left their studies to join the struggle for freedom.
Shiv Prasad gave 150 acres of land for setting up the first Gandhi ashram in India in Akbarpur to promote Khadi.
Gandhiji conferred upon Shiv Prasad Gupta the title of Rashtra Ratna, that is, Jewel of the Nation. He was instrumental in organizing the 1928 session of the Indian National Congress at Varanasi at his residence Seva Upvan, named so by Gandhiji as the home was synonymous with the hospitality the people were offered. Shiv Prasad gave 1,01,000 rupees as the first donation to build Banaras Hindu University.
The great nationalist breathed his last on the 24th of April 1944. AIR News salutes the great freedom fighter.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today paid tributes to former Prime Minister PV Narasimha Rao on his birth anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said, "A visionary statesman and a towering intellectual, PV Narasimha Rao ushered in major economic reforms." The Vice President said, Mr. Rao was a multifaceted personality, a polyglot, scholar and writer of repute. Mr. Naidu said he will always be remembered for his contribution to nation building. The second round of Foreign Office consultations between India and Cuba were held in Havana yesterday. The Indian side was led by Secretary East in the Ministry of External Affairs, Saurabh Kumar, and the Cuban side was led by Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Anayansi Rodriguez Camijo. During the consultations, both sides comprehensively reviewed the entire gamut of their bilateral relations, including development partnership projects, trade and economic relations, and cooperation in areas such as renewable energy, health, including traditional medicine and yoga, biotechnology, agriculture, sports, health, science and technology, and ICT. Ministry of External Affairs said the two sides also exchanged views on regional and international issues of common interest, including cooperation in the United Nations.
Sudan has decided to file a formal complaint to the United Nations Security Council UNSC against Ethiopia over the killing of 7 Sudanese soldiers and a citizen held as captive. Sudanese Foreign Ministry also decided to immediately recall its ambassador to Ethiopia for consultations and to summon the Ethiopian ambassador in Khartoum to inform him of Sudan's condemnation. In USA, at least 46 people have been found dead in an abandoned lorry on the outskirts of San Antonio, Texas state. Local media reports that 16 people, including 4 children, had also been taken to hospital. San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood told that the vehicle, which had been abandoned by its driver, had no working air conditioning and there was no drinking water inside it. Mexico's Foreign Minister Marcelo Ebrard said that 2 Guatemalans were among those taken to hospital. The nationalities of the other victims was not immediately clear. San Antonio, which is 250 kilometers from the US-Mexican border, is a major transit route for human traffickers who often use trucks to transport undocumented migrants into the United States.
The Sri Lankan government has suspended sale of fuel for non-essential vehicles as it faces its worst economic crisis in decades. For the next 2 weeks, only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandula Gunawardene in a statement said the Cabinet on Monday decided to issue fuel only for essential services from Tuesday until July the 10th. He also said that the government is planning to request all public and private sector institutions to apply for work from home facilities till July the 10th because of the ongoing fuel crisis. Local media reports that schools in urban areas have shut and officials have told the country's 22 million residents to work from home. Statistics Day 2022 will be celebrated tomorrow. This year's theme is Data for Sustainable Development. In cricket, the second and final T20 international match between India and Ireland will be played in Dublin today. The match will start at 9 p.m. Indian time. India defeated hosts Ireland on Sunday by 7 wickets in the rain-interrupted opening encounter of the 2-match series. The match was reduced to 12 overs aside after rain interrupted the start of the play.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. National capital Delhi is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum temperature was recorded at 31 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 41 degrees. Mumbai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Kolkata is likely to have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Srinagar and Jammu are expected to have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Muzaffarabad is likely to have mainly clear sky. Leh and Gilgit are also likely to have mainly clear sky. Hyderabad, Bengaluru, Thiruvananthapuram are likely to have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Visakhapatnam is expected to have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi leaves for United Arab Emirates after successful visit to Germany. India's approach has transitioned from women's development to women-led development, emphasizes Prime Minister, addresses G7 session on food security and gender equality in Germany. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman chairs 47th meeting of the GST Council in Chandigarh. Chief Justices of Delhi High Court and Telangana High Court sworn in today. Proposed budget of Punjab faces opposition from industries and trade forums. Second round of Foreign Office consultations between India and Cuba held in Havana. In USA, 46 people found dead in an abandoned vehicle on the outskirts of San Antonio of Texas state. Sri Lankan government suspends sales of fuel for non-essential vehicles. Only buses, trains and vehicles used for medical services and transporting food will be allowed to fill up with fuel. And in cricket, second and final T20 international match between India and Ireland to be played in Dublin this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.